First off, this step isn't essential, but it will definitely improve the look and feel of your game. To give you a little bit of history, back before SpriteKit came in, a lot of the 2D game frameworks didn't have ways to make labels. There was no SK label node or anything like that, and the only way you could do it was by rendering a sprite sheet that contained all of the text and then use some special class to read it out as a text label. So now that we have SpriteKit, you don't really need to worry about that. However, there are some limitations of the labels, especially if you want to add like special shadow effects, gradients, or really juice it up so that the text looks really good for games. So if you have a quick look at the main menu here, the enter button sort of blends into everything else. I can try changing the colors, but there's not much that will go well on top of here that's in the plain color palette. We really want to do something a little fancier with the text. You can barely see the label at the top of the screen, and all the other text doesn't really stand out at all. So the program we're going to be using is Glyph Designer, which you can download from 71squared.com/Glyph Designer. And when you launch up the screen, you'll get something like this. So first off, let's just pick the font that we're going to use. I'm going to use this font because it looks very appropriate for a Ninja-based game. On the right, you can adjust just about everything about this text. So for starters, I'm just going to play with the colors a little bit, find a color gradient that I like. Set an appropriate outlining color. I'm going to use a inner shadow. You'll remember we made a inner shadow when we made the logo for our game, so this is very similar. At the top here, if you click this little eye icon, you can preview how the text looks in a particular sentence. Once you are happy with how the text looks, and you've played with all the options and gotten something really nice, you can come up to the export button and make sure that you export a font for both Retina and normal. Okay, so I'm not actually going to be using that font we just created. I made one earlier that I'm going to use in this game, but it is very similar to the one we just made. So if you have a look up here under the fonts folder, you'll see a gamefont.atlas. This contains all of those images which are going to be put together in a sprite sheet when the atlas is compiled. It also contains 2 SKF files, and these are specifically for fonts created with Glyph Designer. Now on the 71 Squared website, you'll find the latest libraries in order to use these fonts. If you want though, I have also included these libraries in the completed project file, so you can just copy them straight from there. And we want to drag in both the library for iOS and the one for OS X. So both of these libraries will contain 2 Objective-C header files and the library file. Now as you may have noticed, we are using Swift. So what are we going to do with an Objective-C header file? Well, what we need to create is called a bridging header, and this will allow you to use Objective-C class files from Swift. The easiest way to create a bridging header is just to create an Objective-C file, and then it will prompt you to create a header. So if I come to add new, change it from Swift file to Objective-C file, give it a name, and it'll ask you, would you like to configure an Objective-C bridging header? And we'll select yes. Now you can take both of those Objective-C files that have just been created and move them straight to trash because we're not going to be using them. And down here at the bottom somewhere you'll find 2 bridging headers, one for iOS and one for Mac. So let's just move them under their appropriate folders. And the only thing we need to do in each of these bridging files is import the headers that we are going to be using. So that will be ssbitmapfont.h and ssbitmapfontlabel.node.h. Okay, so let's just build and run the application to make sure nothing breaks. Okay, so now that it's in there and it's all working, I need to replace the old labels with Glyph Designer labels. So let's just comment out this play button label to begin with. Now the first thing we need to do is pass it in the font that we're going to be using. So we're going to make the path as a string. This will be a NSBundle main bundle because that's where it'll be located. Path for resource, game font of type SKF. So that's that font file that we looked at in our fonts folder. We're now going to change this string into a URL, a NS URL, and we're going to make a bitmap font object using a SS bitmap font of file at that URL. Okay, so now we have a font object. Now if you look right below that, we have the replacement for our play button. It's now going to be a SS bitmap font label node, node from string, so the text that we want it to display. We can set a position as per normal and a Z position, and give it the same name as the other one so that when you tap on it, it will respond accordingly, and then add it to the scene. Now I had some extra text in here that was to get around a bug in a previous version. That's since been sorted out, so I can take out this extra code here. Okay, so if I build and run the application now, we have our enter text. Okay, so now let's do the same for the character select screen and the level select screen. You can either follow along on screen or have a go at adding it yourself. It'll be done in the exact same way. Alternatively, feel free to copy it from the completed project as well. Okay, so we've finished updating it in all of the menus. Now we go enter. We have our select a character and it stands out really well. The ninja names look good too. And our level select screen looks good as well. And same with the text in our post screen. And there you go, that's a simple way that you can improve your fonts a lot and make your games look a lot more professional.